Hello, hi everyone, welcome. I'm Christos, I'm the contributor program manager, and would like to welcome you into the themed months. It's a new initiative. We're trying to help and support people contributing in a variety of areas here at GitLab, and we'd like to focus our efforts for April around frontend. This is like the first call we're trying to do, focused specifically in frontend. So we have a good mix of people here, various GitLab team members and community members. Thanks all for joining. I'm gonna give you some space as well to introduce yourselves. Yeah, it's really simple to participate. There is nothing complicated in this. So how to participate? It's relatively easy. Let me quickly share my screen. So sharing my screen right now. So from the contributing guide, if you click on the development, here in our new redesigned contribution page, there is the first event in the beginning, which is around the themed months. And this is pretty simple. You check out the front-end contribution opportunities that are linked to the contribution page, the contributing guide, join one of our office hour calls, and join our Gitter in case that you need some help. The front-end contribution opportunities are getting you to the contributing guide. Here down, there are some issues picked by our GitLab team members for people to contribute to. And let me go quickly back here. Our office hour calls links to our meetup group, where we post all of our office hour calls and all of our events. We have the office hour calls for giving opportunity for everyone to ask questions, connect with various GitLab team members, and learn as we go. And also our Gitter channel, which is a place where you can ask questions sequentially. There are a lot of GitLab team members there, always ready to help and support. So I'll pause for now. I will stop my screen and I will ask for a quick round of introduction, maybe from everyone, and then I will invite Natalia to give us a short introduction about GitLab UI. Maybe I'll start with Yannick.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, I'm Yannick. I'm a front-end engineer here at GitLab. I'm working in the static analysis team within Secure. I'm around for 2 years and I've actually started out as a contributor as well. So that's where I got my feedback. Very happy to be on this call. What's up with you, Ilya?
Yeah, I work for import group on managed stage. There are some good mix of match of jQuery and legacy stuff and the fancy new one here and there. I'm in GitLab for 3 years already. I did not start as a contributor, but I really think that contributing is a great way to make our code base better. So, and Natalia?
Hey, I'm Natalia. I'm staff front-end engineer of PlanStage, and I can assure you that PlanStage beats Manage in terms of legacy code, like maybe 3 times, and by jQuery as well. I'm at GitLab for 3.5 years. I didn't start as a contributor either. I started with the contributions in a different area, which was Vue.js framework itself. And just like Ilya, I believe that contributing to open source is super cool and important. And saying this, I will jump quickly to our implementation of our design system, which we call.
Can we also have Avinash?
Oh, sorry.
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Avinash and I work as a DevOps engineer, not really a front-end developer, but not really great at design, but I can work with the logic part of front-end. So looking forward to learning about how I can get involved. Thank you.
Okay, jump into the introduction of our component library, which we call GitLab UI. Let me quickly share my screen. And don't mind the number of tabs I have. These were open for review. So in the GitLab, we are using the component library, the GitLab UI. This is basically a building blocks we're building our components with. Our component library has all the essential components like alerts, models, buttons, links, inputs, and whatnot. And it's hosted in the GitLab UI repository. And it also have this super nice handy link. So if you are in doubt, like what should I use in my component if I need a button, or maybe an input field or whatever, you just go to for GitLab UI and check the sidebar. Our component library is based off Bootstrap view, and we have many components just inherited from Bootstrap. Something like button, for example, is nothing but a wrapper around. We have icon button, drop down button, and whatnot, and you can modify button props here, changing things. So for example, now it's block button. This is inline one. You can make it disabled and just play around in Storybook to see what do we have here. And it's quite significant. Some components are just wrappers around Bootstrap view, and you can find what do we have there in Bootstrap view as well. Some of them are more like handwritten, let's say so, or maybe highly customized. Like for example, we have filtered search courtesy of Ilya in particular. So this one is very specific for GitLab, quite complex, and it's used in many, many places across the code base. In addition to this library, we also have this, how I call it, thing. This is a list of our utility classes. So whenever you're working on GitLab and you need to change the styles, first thing you're doing is not just going to the CSS file and just adding the style to the class and apply this class to whatever we have. For example, if I have something and I want to add position relative, I will just probably go and search for this. And there is a class for this, GL relative. These classes should be applied to everything before you even consider changing SCSS. It's essential utilities that we use on the frontend. And how it's used, well, let's open one of the merge requests I'm reviewing right now. And you can see that it's installed to the main project as a module. And for example, if we want to use alert and link, you just import them from the GitLab, add them as the components to the code, and then you use them in the template. If I ever get to the template in this file. So here we go, and here is GL alert use. And if you wonder what are the props you're passing here, again, you can always go to our Storybook and check what alert is accepting as props and what props you can pass there to customize its behavior. Something like this as an introduction. If you have any questions or if my colleagues have any additions, because I probably missed like a few essential parts of GitLab UI and utilities, please continue.
I have a question. So what was the purpose of the Storybook? And I noticed that when I go to that URL, I'm not able to access it. So is it an internal only tool, or
I'm
so
not
what
sure.
is the exact purpose?
It shouldn't be internal. Do we have an internal Storybook? I think it's open to the world. At least it should be as a specification.
So, yeah. It says
Yes.
401 unauthorized. So when I hit
there is
GitLab
a link right now in the chat of Zoom, so you can access it. So yep, this is a Storybook, and the purpose was actually to have a proper description for every single component without reading its source code. I'm guilty. Usually, if I need to check what props this component accepts, I go to the source code and simply check there. But it's not super user-friendly. And it's better to check all the props and all the states that you have for this particular component in the Storybook, because you can easily see like, okay, I can make this button an icon button, or maybe some kind of like primary state and whatnot. It's just easy to play around and to see what changes this certain prop makes to the component. Because if you're a developer at GitLab, you probably know this by heart already. It's like primary is green. I know this, primary is like whatever is blue. But as an external contributor, it's better to check all the states and props in the Storybook.
Got it. Thank you.
Just my 2 cents about another purpose We are using Storybook as a source of truth for our screenshot tests. So we are taking screenshots of each component as a part of our pipeline. So that really helps in terms of contributing. You know that you didn't touch more than you are expecting, which is a typical situation when you're dealing with huge code base. So this is another great thing Storybook helps with.
Absolutely. And what I do use Storybook for quite a bit, it is kind of the obvious, but it is documentation for me. But I want to stress this once more because it's so crucial. As Mirja just mentioned, we are dealing with a huge code base, and there would be no way for me to actually be aware of all of the components we're actually having. So there might be a challenge for me to solve within the front end. And chances are high that somebody at GitLab already had a similar challenge, and there might be a component available for this. So that's when you then hit Storybook, just do your research, and you're most likely going to find just what you need.
Speaking of alerts, a huge code base. For Frontend specifically, are there any requirements or guidelines or best practices that someone has to follow?
Well, I would say that's a question that doesn't have an easy, short answer because there's so many guidelines you need to follow that it's just hard to even tell. So we have guidelines, for example, on Vue, on using GraphQL with Apollo, on our testing, quite a nice and extensive guideline about what levels of testing do we have. And you can find them on our front-end development guidelines. And probably just search for link. We are trying to extend them and keep them updated all the time. And they are mostly, I will say, because there is always blank areas, they're sufficient for front-end development, and they care all the project-specific knowledge.
The good news on this is don't be intimidated by this as a contributor, because actually our pipeline is automatically checking for a lot of these guidelines. So this thing will then just fail on you, but that's no biggie, since it will hopefully offer you really, really helpful tips on how to get along. And if we're not checking automatically, our reviewers will gladly assist you when it comes to those guidelines. So keep them in mind, but nothing to be afraid of.
And also, just to add on that, if a pipeline fails or someone needs help when making a merge request, they can directly ask when a contributor is opening a merge request. The GitLab bot gives a sort of a guideline, not guidelines, also information on how to ask help. Just need to tag the bot and the GitLab bot and ask for help, and someone will be notified and will try to address your question or issues or anything that you might need help with, or you can directly ask on Gitter. Super, thanks for the links. I'm collecting them, so making sure to share with the community and making sure that all of our contributing guides are up to date. Are there any questions or thoughts or things that maybe we would like to share? Or Avinash, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Anything else I would like to share with the community? We'll be sharing this recording with everyone after this. So right, in that case, I will stop the recording. Thanks all for joining. For people who are watching the recording, please check on the contributing guide. We're going to post the next official call if you're interested in reaching out or joining one of our official calls. We're going to continue having official calls every 2 weeks, and we'll continue beyond April. And for seeking for help, we have Gitter, we have email, we have directly on the MRs, merge requests. You can reach out to us, and we'll be gladly to help. stop the recording.